And I'm Guy. And this is your home for everything Alberta Independence, broadcasting live 6 days a week, Monday through Friday. We broadcast twice, once at noon and once at 5 p.m., once on Saturday at 5 p.m. And every Sunday we try to have a pre-recorded interview with somebody within Alberta Independence or talking about Alberta Independence. Let's get it going. And I will say this before we start, we have a breaking news section. A lot of news broke between the morning stream and the night stream. So if you're going to stick around for a little while, you're going to want to stick around for the breaking news section.
But first of all, thank you so much for joining us today. Please don't forget to subscribe. It really helps us out. Also, we attempt to read all your comments on stream that you send, even if they're not super chats. We do that after the end of each segment. But if you feel so inclined and want to send us a super chat, which is what helps us out the most, we always pause the show to read it and comment on it and then move on with the show as well. We're trying to get to 100 likes per stream. I almost said 1,000. Imagine that.
We're trying to get to 100 likes because it helps us get out to a larger audience the next day.
Yes. Thanks for interrupting me.
Well, you get long-winded with the
People like long-winded. Let us know if you like it when I talk or when I don't talk. Todd says, hey guys, ready and waiting. Thank you so much for being here, Todd. Hope you're going up to, where did you say you went to? Well, you said you were going to go somewhere else in the evening, so hope everything went well. Todd also says, beer is tasting extra sweet today, Friday. And yes, happy Friday to everybody. Even did some work to earn it. That's good. Cole, hello, Cole. Thank you for being here. And Todd says, all my Alberta Independence merch is getting trashed at work again now that it's summer, exposed to the sun and wind and dust and mud, concrete, LOL, grease. But good that you're representing. And thank you so much, Justin GP, for the $5 super chat saying, extra, read all about it. Extra, read all about it.
Well, and the extra section is big today. It's some bad news, but we're going to try to look at it in a positive light, I guess. We have to get ready for what's coming on Monday.
Yes. And Justin GP says, hiya and happy Friday night to y'all. Gotta love work camp life. And hold on. Todd says, I'm here for the long haul, Guy.
Well, good to see you here. And as far as the Alberta merch getting
trashed while you work,
it gives it some character.
Exactly.
So it shows you were there from the beginning.
Exactly. And Bradley Wilcox, hello. Thank you for being here. Says you guys are so awesome. Thank you, Nat and the Guy. And thank you all for being here. Thank you all for still being engaged citizens and wanting to know more and more about and help with Alberta Independence. And all of everybody that was a canvasser as well. Thank you so much. And even if you just signed the petition or have talked to people about independence, that is also showing how much of an engaged citizen you are. So thank you so much to all of you as well. But should we start with the breaking news?
Let's go into the breaking news. And when we do, we're going to start with some good breaking news. And then we're going to go into the main stuff for, I think, the day and what's going to come for next week as well.
Yes.
Extra, read all about it. Extra, read all about it.
Okay, and starting with, hold on, here we go. That one?
Nope.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay, because the guy put them all in the weird order.
Well, a lot of this breaking news came up between the morning show and the night show, which is pretty rare. So we reported on this the other day. It was nice Mr. and Mrs. Albertan finally put out a statement on John Bolton's channel, so it got quite a large audience. What happened with the fire in their garage was an accident. He was working on a car. I'm glad he clarified that, and
that he's okay.
That he's okay. He kept his elbows down, but he did hurt his elbows a little bit because he kept them down.
So speedy recovery to them. But John R. Bolton says a statement from Mr. and Mrs. Albertan on the garage fire.
Hey, Alberta. Val.
Mrs. Val.
How you doing, guys? I'm sure by now you've all heard we had a little emergency here earlier in the week at a garage fire back there. We just wanted to get on and straighten out some facts and make sure that everybody knows what the real thing is from the horse's mouth, so we don't have any more hearsay. We've got all kinds of stories going on right now that aren't true, so we just want to set the record straight. It was an accidental fire. It wasn't an arson attempt or anything like that. It was just working on a car and fuel got sparked and got out of control. And the next thing you know, the video you saw is what happened. So don't fall for it. Don't let people talk you into thinking that things are what they aren't. It was definitely not a fake fire. This is what's left of my phone. Here's my coffee cup that y'all remember from before. Not a replacement though. Just got to badger up. So it definitely was real. You can probably see got a bit of a suntan now, and I did manage to keep my elbows down. There was no elbows up, guys. Elbows down. I went through it with the elbows down and got my elbows scorched up a little bit too. So
okay, and we can leave it there. I do recommend going to watch the whole statement. It was really good. His wife got a little bit emotional at one point, and my heart really does go out to them. Just because it was an accident, I think it would be nice if we could help them as a community as well.
Exactly.
They've been a big support to Alberta independence, and I'm sure they're going to continue to be that.
Yes. And also, it's sorry. My brain. And also really good on them for coming out and clarifying it and being even the bigger people and being able to say, hey, no need to panic. This is what actually happened. And not, because a lot of people, unfortunately, not that I would say any Albertans, but a lot of people would grab that and run with it and use it. So it's good that they're coming out and clarifying it and showing that honesty and that spirit of, okay, let's move on.
Well, and that transparency, and that's what we need to have in Alberta independence. We're not just asking people to vote in a referendum. We're asking them to trust us to found a new nation. And it's a big responsibility.
Exactly. And now which one do you want to move on
We'll
next?
go into Jeff Rath because that's going to lead into the inner workings of this story. And there was a lot of things that happened between shows.
Do you want to talk about the debate first? Or no? So I brought that up too.
No, we'll talk about that after.
Okay, so let's go to this one first. Jeff Rath says, quote, official Stay Free Alberta Prosperity Society notice, neither Stay Free Alberta or the Alberta Prosperity Society are affiliated with the Centurion Project or David Parker. Neither SFA or APS have had any access to any lists in the possession of either Alberta Republican Party or David Parker or the Centurion Project.
And this is an incredibly important statement because of what happened with the Centurion Project. And we think we know, and we think it's not a big deal. It's about to blow up in mainstream media. There's a leftist channel that I do watch, so I know the other side of the coin. They're a very small channel. They have about 7,000 subscribers. It's the channel I always talk about that I yell at the TV and I debate with because I hate it so much, but I like to hear their points. Yeah, that's the one. Anyway, she was the whistleblower in the Centurion Project, and she has nothing but mainstream media interviews lined up for the rest of the day. They just got off a 1 hour live stream. I watched almost all of it. She went into the details. There's a lot of dots. The other side is going to try to connect with this to derail the Alberta independence petition on both sides. She's currently asking for both petitions to be null and void at this point because of what's going on with these lists. Now, I think that's absolutely ridiculous, but it's something we need to talk about because come Monday morning, the mainstream media is going to be all over this thing like a dog with a bone. And I thought it was something we could just ignore, let the courts deal with it. That's not going to be the case because the mainstream media, I'm sure, is going to blow this thing up to be probably the biggest story next week.
Yes, and that would be Jen Gerson and her podcast, their podcast, The Line.
And I will say, if you do go watch this, and it was very informative to know the other side and how this entire thing with the Centurion Project actually emerged. Who was the whistleblower? It was actually somebody from inside the Centurion Project that signed up, that was most likely a liberal, that then blew the whistle to Jen, which is, this is her podcast here.
So again, just to clarify, not someone within the Centurion Project, people and the ones that are putting it on, but somebody that was able to sign up and then from inside to do malicious things, and then from inside being able to do those malicious things.
And we need to be careful with all organizations attached to Alberta independence. People that want to derail this thing are going to sign up and try to volunteer. And if anything is not above board, they're going to blow the whistle here. If you do go watch this particular thing, please don't subscribe to it. We do not want to give them any support. I'm sure the Liberal Party of Canada is going to get directly behind this podcast now.
You'll see it explode in the next few months.
I really do think that. We're going to play the beginning, and then I'll talk about some of the details that came out in this podcast. They're already claiming that there was a failure to investigate by Elections Alberta, and then there was collusion within Elections Alberta and the Centurion Project. They're probably going to try to connect that collusion directly to Danielle Smith. They're calling for the system to be completely dismantled and brought back to the old system, so citizen-led petitions can no longer be had. You're going to have to change the system from within. Mm-hmm. They're going to extreme lengths here. I don't think they're going to be successful at this, but they're going to run with it, and this story is going to blow up on Monday.
Yeah, and that's what they're discussing here towards the end.
And she gives the list right in the beginning. Once they do start talking to her, he kind of introduces her and says all the mainstream media interviews she has lined up directly after this.
So we'll watch the intro and then a little bit after that.
Hey guys, it's the Line Podcast, and it's a weird Line podcast. Somewhat to our own horror, Jen Gerson and The Line is now at the center of a breaking news story, a scandal in Alberta, one that actually has put people in danger. This is a public safety issue, and Jen ended up being the whistleblower. We haven't talked about it before now. We did publish an article about it on Thursday night. Jen is going to walk you through the story of how sensitive government information was apparently released to the public.
And pause
she
it.
knew about.
And I know everybody's saying this is public information and a lot of the stuff will come out in court. She's claiming collusion between Elections Alberta and different separatist organizations, mainly the Centurion Project, but she's really trying to connect it in this to all separatists. This is independence people. She's obviously going to call it separatist. She's going to use her own framing. I wouldn't be that concerned about it. I said it on the morning podcast, let's let the courts deal with it. Let's kind of ignore it. Let's stay positive. The only reason I'm really reporting on this is because of the amount of mainstream interviews she does have lined up and the information that came out on this podcast. They are going to try to blow this thing up. This changes the chess pieces on the board. This puts a lot of pressure on Danielle Smith, where she cannot look like she's leaning towards independence at this point because of the level of collusion that is being claimed between Elections Alberta and the Centurion Project, which is ridiculous. I still like the Centurion Project, but there's enough dots and enough things here that the mainstream media is going to be able to turn this into a major scandal next week.
But I still say let's try to stay positive on all other aspects and continuing to talk about the importance of Alberta independence and what it actually means, and not letting these insane people be able to take the narrative and run with it fully because they can't even make proper points.
Absolutely. And I think my line going forward is we need to let the court system kind of deal this out within the next 4 days. I think the Centurion Project is supposed to submit most of the information needed to kind of clear their name, or hopefully clear their name. The reason I'm playing this is I want to prepare everybody for what's going to come out with mainstream media on Monday. Ignoring this issue, I don't think is any longer a possibility, or trying to excuse the issue. We should just wait to see what happens with the court.
About it, she reported it to the government, and she was brushed off. And then when the government finally had to admit that it happened, they released an inaccurate timeline that ignored the fact that she had been trying to warn them a month earlier. This is a Line Podcast episode, but it's going to be more in the format of an On the Line with me interviewing Jen. A quick note of thanks.
And pause it really quick. We're not going to play a lot of this. I just wanted to use this as a segue to talk about what's probably coming on mainstream media. What also gives it another level of credibility to Liberals is she's actually from Alberta itself. So that's not going to help the case either.
And it's also insane that she starts claiming that Elections Alberta is colluding, especially because of all the steps and all the headaches that Elections Alberta made everybody within the independence movement go through. But she doesn't know about that part.
Let's get a little bit of her take. Again, if you do go watch this full episode, please do not subscribe. We do not want to support this channel, but she was the whistleblower, and the person that whistleblowed went directly to her. She went directly to the government. She seems to be the one coordinating a lot of these dots and claiming collusion between Elections Canada and
Alberta
independence and the independence movement.
Yeah.
Razor, which wrapped this week, and also our live stream this week. It was absolutely fantastic. We had a lot of fun.
Fast
Jen and
forward
I,
quite a
was
bit.
it 4.5 hours? Stuff we want to talk about anyway. But also
Quite a
Jen
bit, please.
in kind of something that
We seated amongst separatists, which is great.
can you take a minute and tell us what is a voter list? Like, let's actually go right back to elementary here.
Super.
Tell me
Let's
what a
go
voter
back to
list is.
Okay. So
Okay, you can
Is that
leave it
one
there.
article where she lists off all the
Yeah,
interviews
you're
she
not going to be
has?
able to find it. It's quite, they go quite detailed for over an hour. I do recommend going to watch that so you're aware of what they're trying to claim the timeline was and what the mainstream media is most likely going to run with on Monday morning. I don't think we're going to really see these stories emerge until Monday because it has the most impact on Monday because a lot of people go out of town for the weekend or they're doing other things. Monday morning is usually when you want to report a story to blow it to the moon. And that's what I'm expecting next week with this.
But again, she did come out and say, oh, I have interviews lined up all day today. It's been a crazy day. I have with CBC, CTV, Global. Like she listed out all the mainstream propaganda and narrative outlets that are out there, and that the Lemmings will completely.
Well, and because what she's claiming is collusion between Elections Canada, Alberta Independence, and they're going to try to connect that to Danielle Smith to put pressure on Danielle Smith. I think it's a load of malarkey, but we need to be aware of what's coming Monday. Okay, we can move on from there. That broke right between. I was playing that in 2x speed so I could get the entire story and narrative which they're trying to pitch.
Sorry, just because you said it wrong twice. Elections Alberta, not Elections Canada. It's important because it's two different things.
It's also very, very important to understand that Mitch Sylvester and Jeff Rath and their organization of Stay Free Canada and Stay Free Alberta were no way involved in this. They did not share lists with the Centurion Project. So when they're saying that these petitions need to be null and void and canceled, that's not what needs to happen at this point. We need to make sure that people know that Stay Free Alberta was separate from the Centurion Project at this point.
But also what's most worrying is that towards the end, they do start to talk about how citizen initiatives, citizen petitions, referendums should not be a mechanism available to the citizenry, that those are going against democracy, and that to protect democracy, they should be getting rid of any type of referendum or petition initiated by citizens, because then this is what happens.
They called for the
that's the actual way they want to go.
They're calling for the disqualification of all citizen-led petitions on October 19th. If she's saying that now, I'm sure the mainstream media is going to try to run with that narrative. We need to stay strong and create our own counterpoints, which was the Centurion Project in no way, shape, or form was connected with Stay Free Alberta, as well as this needs to work its way through the court system. I still like the Centurion Project. I like the leadership of the Centurion Project. Possibly they made a mistake. We're going to have to wait to see what happened in court.
Yes. Do you want me to? Because we did have the debate as a title. So just to bring it up.
Let's go into the debate. That was the really big news that I'm expecting to see more about Monday.
Yes. But as many of you know, there is supposed to be a debate tonight between Keith Wilson and Jason Kenney. However, it will be behind closed doors. Unfortunately, there will be another one, probably still not confirmed, but probably live streamed on May 25th, 25th. I always say it wrong, but towards the end of May, we will talk about it.
I think it was the 25th in Edmonton.
Yeah, but this one is from this organization called Civitas Canada. It's their 30th annual conference, and it is a closed-door conference. It is Chatham House rules, so you can kind of know what happened there, but you cannot know who it's attributed to, of whoever said it. Supposed to start at 8 p.m. tonight, but again, there is no way to see it because it is a ticketed event and for members only.
No way to see it yet. Maybe somebody leaked something. I'm sure hoping so. I was looking forward to this. I think a lot of people are disappointed this thing was not being live streamed. I think this was a missed opportunity on their behalf. Their organization would have got a lot of eyes on them. I think the event on the 25th in Edmonton is supposed to be streamed, so I got hope for that one. But if Jason Kenney gets his ass kicked in a private room and word doesn't get out, he may not show up for that secondary debate.
But again, it is a private membership organization, and they have their own little rules and stuff, and it's pretty tight-lipped.
Well, and I will say thank you for Keith Wilson for stepping up in this debate and putting Jason Kenney in his place, whether it's going to be live streamed or not. So
exactly.
All of us are with you, Keith, and hopefully you put on a hell of a show tonight.
Yes, and maybe you can let us know how it went afterwards as well.
Well, I'm sure he's going to put out a tweet, hopefully, but he's so humble. I don't expect him to be like, I kicked Kenny's ass if it was Wrath.
True, exactly.
Yeah.
But now we'll go into your comments, and then we'll go into the Alberta Stay Free section to kind of keep talking about a bit of what we've been talking about now.
Yeah.
Todd says, I was using the hot axe struts. They suck to change, LOL. I don't really know much about how cars work, but I'm just glad that he didn't get too injured, and I hope he makes a speedy recovery.
Yeah, I'm really glad he's safe, and his injuries seem to be minor, which is good. Yeah. But again, his garage did get burned down. Hopefully we can maybe raise some money and help him out, because he has been an important figure inside Alberta Independence. And I love the fact that he's coming out and being very transparent on what happened on this thing.
Exactly. And I do hope he got checked for smoke inhalation, because a lot of people don't, and don't get properly fully checked. And then there's horrible things that happen. So hopefully get checked for smoke inhalation as well. Bradley Wilcox says, is the debate going live? Live in person, yes, but not live to the public. Again, it is a private conference, a private meeting for members only, ticketed event, etc.
Yeah, and I'll just make it clear, no, it's not going to be streamed unless somebody privately...
It's not going to be streamed.
Unless somebody privately or secretly records it and then releases it. That's the only way I think we're really going to see it.
Which we are not suggesting, just by the way.
Okay, let's keep going. You're worse than the RCMP there, Nat.
Justin TP says no, but you can find tickets at the Aristotle Foundation website. That may be sold out though. But that one is okay. The Civitas debate that is happening tonight at 8 p.m. is a closed-door ticketed private event for members of that institution or whatever it's called only. The Aristotle Foundation one on May 25th, I believe. That one is, I think, open to the public via ticketed events, and they've said they might be live streaming it, but still not sure if they will. There we go.
Okay.
Todd, well, because we get a lot of questions about it, so I just wanted to leave it as clear as possible.
It was supposed to be the big moment for Alberta independence, I think, and I'm a little disappointed there's not going to be any clips, it looks like.
For this one, at least, for this first one. Todd says, yeah, I haven't seen it up anywhere yet neither. Fringe will hit it, probably Nanaga as well. I think they are leading up to it, LOL, I think. The debate. But again, we can't because it's a closed-door event. Jesse GP says, we can also sign up for stuff on the left and Forever Canada stuff. I encourage you all to do so. We can play that game too. Yeah. And that was something suggested by Marty, I believe, recently.
And I didn't even think of that because I'm always saying if negative things happen, we need to have an action plan so we can kind of push back. That's a great idea, Jess. So that was Jess that suggested that?
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's start signing up for their organizations and see what's going on inside there. That being said, I don't want to put too much energy into that because I do want to stay positive and focus on trying to get voters to change their mind, people that are on the fence and on the other side.
Yes.
And
that is a lot of work still.
Yeah,
anyways.
Absolutely. But
Jim...
what it did teach us is we can't trust anybody just because they're volunteers for independence or they're claiming to support independence. That doesn't necessarily mean there are. There's probably going to be a lot of content creators, a lot of personalities and organizations popping up that are wolves in sheep's clothing. So...
But again, I also don't want to say mistrust everybody and that any volunteer could be a terrible person. But we do know that they use underhand. I think what you're trying to say is we know that they use underhanded tactics. So don't be blind to the fact that this could continue to happen and they could continue to try to work from the inside and getting into the inside.
That's not what I'm saying.
Fully report. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
What I'm trying to say is let's just do everything above board. It makes things harder to do things above board, but that is the proper way to do things. And if they do infiltrate these organizations, there's going to be nothing for them to whistleblow on.
Yes. Todd Schritter says all of us are in all the groups, do all the things, LOL. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that too. Sven the God Grown Show says, I find it wild that Britain's top think tank, Chatham House, I never know how to say it, which is the City of London, is hosting the debate tonight. They're not hosting the debate tonight. They have Chatham House rules, which means it's a way to say that you can talk about what's going on inside of a meeting, but you can't, like, it's not fully private, but you can't attribute anything said within that meeting or within that conference to a specific person. That's what Chatham House rules
Okay, Nat, but it's a little bit worse than that because we did look into it a little bit. And who were some of the sponsors?
Oh yeah, Merida is the sponsor. The Epoch Times is the sponsor of that organization. But again, I don't want to throw dirt on an organization I don't really know much about, but I just saw that those names
there
were
was
listed.
Chinese money in there as well, so...
Okay, again, I don't want to attribute too much into this. And I don't know much about the organization itself. But says, and Daniel Smith is in London speaking at Chatham House. Not good. And that is true. And we are going to talk about that as well. Daniel Smith, what she said over there too. But again, if you Google Chatham House rules, maybe it can clarify it a bit better than I can. It's just that...
You've clarified
turn
it.
A phrase. It's a phrase used to try to talk about how things are spoken within meetings or rooms.
Yeah, you clarified it like 3 times now.
I know, but Todd says, all of us know each other, millions of us, millions of next year, yo.
Yeah.
Justin DP says, Elections Alberta has definitely not colluded with Stay Free Alberta or any other independence movement. LOL, that claim is hilarious.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but the way she's connected the dots,
Yeah.
because she was the whistleblower and she set this up in such a way that the mainstream media is going to be able to run with it. I do highly recommend not subscribing to that channel, The Line, but going to watch that hour, because this is the narrative that's going to come out on Monday in mainstream media. How do I know? Because she has every mainstream media outlet lined up for an interview directly after her live podcast.
Mm-hmm. Todd Schroeder says, yeah, I colluded with my comrades for 5,000 rubles too.
And again, as ridiculous as we think it is, because we all support Alberta independence, this puts Danielle Smith in a bit of a predicament here, where she's not going to be able to really lean one way or the other. She's going to have to play it very straight after this point.
Exactly.
Oh, Nat, what's going on here? You leave me without a
Say
story.
something.
You leave me
Not
without a story.
independent.
You want me to talk? Come on now.
Sorry, okay. Justin GP says, Justin GP says, get rid of citizens' initiatives unless it's one where they, the NDP, want to recall a UCP member. Exactly, but that is another worrying point of that whole podcast or whatever that was, where they are suggesting that it would be better for democracy to get rid of all the citizen initiatives, given what happened and how horrible
And
the situation
her solution is that we should have to run for elections and change the system from the inside. I want to get rid of the entire system. The system is corrupt to the core. What she's suggesting is the little power citizens have at this point, with it, which is citizens petition. We have to get rid of all that, because we see what's happening in Alberta, and we can't have the citizens have the power.
Exactly.
Which
That's
is
literally
ridiculous.
what she say. That's literally what
And
she
she
say.
doesn't say it to near the end, so fast forward after you get the basic story from it, so you know what she's going to try to pitch to the mainstream media. And I think the mainstream media is going to try to pitch to the general public to try to derail October 19th.
Exactly.
So this is why it's so important that we come out on Monday when we submit those signatures. Again, what this could lead to is also that judge, that corrupt ideological judge that stayed at once, she may
Allegedly.
use this as an excuse to try to keep staying things. That's why it's also important to keep the other question open.
Exactly. And the fact, and when she's saying we shouldn't have citizen initiatives and you have to go and run for office and then be able to change things that way, not through the citizens voicing their voicing whatever they want to voice, is because they know that they have the power within elections as well. Primors 007 says, Hola Nat y Guy, hola, says Alberta, Alberta, Alberta. Hit the likes, folks. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. And yes, Alberta. Austin WWW says the event, the 25th event is in Calgary. Yes, exactly. And I believe there are tickets open to the public. Don't take my word for it 100%, but I think so when I was looking into it. Chocolate says a debate on the future of Alberta, but it's secret.
Go figure.
Yeah. Justin GP says, can you imagine all of us wanting a bootleg copy of the debate, not Star Wars or the new Marvel movie, a darn debate? We are crazy. But it's important. It's super important. I do agree
I'm
with
the kind of
that.
guy that watches debates, and I'm willing. I sometimes imagine the best debates and the subjects that I would want that I would actually pay for. This is the debate of the century, by the way.
I can confirm he watches a lot of debates on random things, very random things.
Okay, let's go to
sometimes.
3 more questions, because we got a ton of stories today. That breaking news really added up.
Yeah. Bradley Wilcox says both should be live streamed because they could be hiding something. I don't know if they'd be hiding something, but at least, I mean, I'm glad at least one of them probably will be live streamed. And then again, for this private one that happened today, maybe they shouldn't have announced it and advertised it. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's the only opinion I can give.
absolutely. And Kenny's gonna love the fact that this thing isn't being streamed. So
True. And Todd says they're hiding it because Chubbs is losing. And they knew it all the way back when they announced it.
Pat Stalin there.
Chocolate says, sounds pretty elitist, just like the Laurentians. You said it, not me. But now let's go into the actual safety.
Well, what we will know is if Keith Wilson thoroughly demolishes Jason Kenney, what we're going to see come out after this is a bunch of name calling, because we're going to know that none of his strategies and none of his talking points landed. So the only thing the nationalists are going to have left at that point is name calling and try to blow little scandals into big proportions. If we see that start to happen next week, that means Keith Wilson thoroughly demolished Jason Kenney, I think.
True. And just really quickly, Glenn Gunn says, hi guys from Calgary. Again, the debate will get out. And thank you for being Glenn. Here, Glenn. And now let's go to the Alberta Stay Free section.
Sweet home Alberta, where the roots run deep and the money trees grow.
And they're trying to LGBTQ the debate by keeping it in the closet, I think.
Well, I'm not going to go into it's going to take too long to explain what I'm trying to say. But let's start with Energy Media saying, quote, Alberta separatism support is still stuck at 27%. John Santos explains why separatism isn't gaining ground.
Yeah, I'm expecting false polls and hit pieces to becoming hard and heavy, probably starting next week. And this is just another one of those examples. They'll poll 1,000 people from Calgary and say, that's all of Alberta. Yeah. These polls very, very rarely get the opinions of people in rural areas. And that goes for the United States as well. They usually only poll cities.
And usually they're not super transparent on what those who they're polling, essentially. But yes, let's see.
In the poll we conducted this April, we found 27% of Albertans would vote for separation if a referendum were held today. 67% would vote against, and 6% are unsure. And this is virtually unchanged from our poll last year at around the same time. I think it stayed stable because
you probably have the same call list from last year.
Exactly. Within a big, probably Calgary.
That being said, in modern political context, polling has lost a lot of its legitimacy, mainly after 2016 with Trump, but that spread on a global basis. And where a lot of people are getting a good indication of what's going to happen in political elections are the political betting markets now. Yeah. The real money is actually a really good indicator of what's going to happen in elections, whether it's Canada or whether it's the United States. And right now, I think it's above 60%. People believe that separation is going to happen in those betting markets.
Do you want me to keep playing it or no?
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize it was not over.
Extreme position to take, like whatever one's view is on the state of Canadian federalism, there's a lot of things that could be done to address that. And separation is basically the nuclear option. And so I think it would take a very monumental kind of an event to happen in order to move the needle from this, high 20s to 30% number. In the poll we conducted,
Number one, I don't believe that malarkey. But number two, even if I am to believe that malarkey, let's just say we only have that 30% that he is saying. That 30% is extremely, extremely motivated. This is a non-federal election year, so typically people don't come out in mass. That 30% is enough to actually win an election for separation if the other side doesn't come out. So it's going to be very interesting. I think our polling is much higher than that. Even at this point, I put it up above 50%.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But, and again, there will be, it's very similar to what happened, and we talked about this in the morning with Trump and Hillary or Trump and Kamala and all the other polls that they've been able to see and say, see, this is never going to happen. Don't worry about it. And then there's the quiet majority that are going to vote probably for independence, but they don't come out and forthright say it because they've been chilled into silence by the same mechanisms that they use within the mainstream media and the same attack vectors and tactics that they want to continue to use. Like, for example, from Bev, quote, and we played this earlier today as well, but says there's a federal petition right now, E7340, and every Canadian should be paying attention and stuff.
And this was the main story on the morning show. And again, this is one of those major attack vectors we have to be aware of. If you do want to know more about this, we'll play a little bit of this. But if you want to, we did in-depth analysis in the morning show in the breaking news section. This is the beginning of claiming foreign interference to build that narrative to possibly either use the Emergencies Act or to gain an investigation through a petition. And although he sounds crazy, he does have an actionable petition. He's trying to get nationalists outside of Alberta to sign to trigger an investigation within Alberta independence and how things have been done because of foreign interference is what he's claiming.
So let's see him read off from a teleprompter.
This one's serious. Pay attention. There's a federal petition right now, petition E7340. And this isn't about vibes or opinions. This is about the law foreign interference, and the Constitution. The Alberta Prosperity Project has allegedly courted the senior administration of the current ruling party in the United States for a $500 billion loan to advance their separation plans.
And pause it. And again, everything he's going to say in here is a lie. We go in depth on the morning show. We can leave it here, but ultimately he has an actionable petition that is currently active for everybody in Canada to sign in order to investigate the Alberta Prosperity Project. They're going after one organization after another. First it's the Centurion, now it's the Alberta Prosperity Project. Also, this is a very important situation to watch because this is the first time they've used the attack vector of foreign interference. And that's the same attack vector I think they're going to need to use if they want to use the Emergencies Act. Carney's going to have to get nationalists on his side in polling if he wants to do that. And I think that's why he's going to want to try to isolate Albertans and Alberta as a whole.
Yes. But also from Corey Morgan saying,
But one more thing. The important thing about that is to make sure we keep the door open for the secondary question. So let's keep going.
yes. And hopefully Danielle Smith can clarify if she can turn it and make it comply within the Clarity Act and as a constitutional question itself. But Corey Morgan says, quote, the issue with the Centurion Project and electors list should be easy to resolve quickly. If the Centurion Project built its database from buying info from Canada Post or a phone book, they can prove that easily. If it's an electors list, some people are in some deep S.
Well, and leave this up here for a minute. And thank you to Corey Morgan. He really tried to get ahead of this when I didn't think it was an issue and everybody else was trying to excuse it away. Mm-hmm. Now that the whistleblower has come out and told the entire story, how this thing came to the surface with a whistleblower inside the Centurion Project, it really does look like this is going to be an issue, especially because mainstream media is today doing the interviews to really hit this, I believe, on Monday or possibly even over the weekend. It's important that we stay transparent. And if a mistake was made, we just say we made a mistake and we go forward. But again, they're going to be going to court in the next 4 days. And hopefully all this stuff is cleared up. But I've now heard the story from the other side and we'll kind of see what happens.
And that they want to use it and run with it. Again, they're already running with it to mainstream media. And don't mistake mainstream media for not using this over and over and over and over again now when they talk about the Alberta independence movement.
This was something after the morning episode I was not planning to report on again until after it went through the court system. The only reason I did report on it, report on it was because of what happened with the whistleblower on the other side.
Jen, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
But now we'll continue reading your comments and then go into the Alberta Politics section. Bradley Wilcox says this should have been open to the public because a lot of people can't make it to Calgary, or at least streamed. And again, this first one is in Edmonton. The one tonight is in Edmonton. The one on May 25th is in Calgary. And I believe, even though a ticketed event, it is open to the public to buy tickets. Don't take my word for it. I'll let you know on tomorrow's stream if so.
And if anybody that's around there has to be a ton of Alberta independence supporters. I hope we get somebody that's just kind of level-headed, unemotional to talk about what happened afterwards, even if they don't have a recording of it. True. I mean, Keith Wilson is going to be too humble to talk about this thing honestly.
Primors 007 says,
because I thoroughly expect him to give Jason Kenney a thrashing. He's the kind of guy that's going to not lean into it, though.
Primors 007 says, X-Files had it right. The truth is out there. Trust no one.
Yeah.
And it's kind of also what I say. Like, do your own research. We know less than we know more. Always look into other sources, other people, different opinions, and form your own opinion with discernment and critical thinking. So,
and they really turned the heat up a little bit this week. Next week, it's going to get cranked all the way up through mainstream media. And that story we kind of reported on there. We do have a counter to that. And that is Monday, we can show up in mass to submit that petition with Mitch Sylvester and the rest of the
and showing up
Stay Free crew.
Glenn Gunn says, Nat, Bigfoot debate? No. No, thank you.
It's not up.
He can do it.
It's not up for debate. Reality is reality, my friends.
Todd says, yeah, why advertise it if we can't go? I think, and this is just my theory, but what happened was maybe Keith Wilson spoke about it to someone or at some point mentioned it, and then someone kind of maybe run with it and advertise the dates. And advertise the dates, and then that got kind of pushed into social media.
Okay.
Even though only the May 25th one
We've kind of addressed the debate
But they keep asking.
Okay. Just hit a few if it's about the debate, because it's going to be the same answer on our part.
Glenn says, did I mention that Jess in Northern Alberta is a hero to Alberta? No, but thank you, Jess. Troglodyte says, missing and unalived debate added to the alphabet people letter listing. Oh, true, exactly.
Yeah.
Glenn Gunn says there are missing women. They have to separate that story. Yeah. Jess and GP says, thank you to Gunner for saying that he's a hero. Todd says, if I took a poll, it would be 93% in favor. So, and again, it is because they don't fully mention who they're polling and what the mechanism of the poll even is.
Jeff Rath leaked some of the statistics from the petitioning, and 92% of some communities signed that petition rurally. So take a poll rurally and let's see what happens. You're going to have 90% polling. We're not putting that garbage out there. They are putting their garbage out there. They're going to probably to the heart of Calgary, taking 1,000 people that they know are going to be highly liberal, and they're getting these very distorted polls.
Exactly. And Justin DP says, I took a poll and apparently I'm the hottest guy out there. I only polled my mom and aunts though. Yeah, same happens when I poll my mom and the guy here. Hold on. Glenn Gunn says moms don't lie, and that is true. And Todd says, yeah, that guy in the dumb headphones was doing similar polling as you.
Yeah.
Jess. Exactly. And that's the thing. And when you see these announcements about the polls and it's only 20-something% support and it hasn't moved, also always think, well, who are they polling? Where did they get these numbers from? How many people did they ask? Where did they ask them? What was the question asked? All of that, they usually never want to mention because then it makes clear what their intentions are with that poll.
Okay, let's go into Alberta politics if we can, and then we'll get back to questions after that section.
Comments, yes.
He doesn't discuss federal politics. He only concerns himself with Alberta's independence.
And starting with Keith Wilson saying, quote, new analysis drawn from the Rystad Energy UCube comprehensive dataset reveals that Alberta's oil sands sector net present value, or NPV, estimated currently at nearly $470 billion, could be wiped out under a net zero emissions NZE agenda. Caplan says the $500 billion risk no one wants to talk about, Alberta's oil sands and the net zero illusion.
Yeah, and leave this up for a minute. And that $470 billion number is probably more like a couple trillion. It's been so mismanaged and so many regulations have put up so we really can't develop it. That's the least amount of development we can have. It's only going to go up from there once we get our own independence. And if we stick with Canada, year after year, there's going to be more regulations until there's no more oil sands, no more natural resource development. And Alberta is going to not look like Alberta in 5 to 10 years.
And this should be another important talking point that you could bring up when discussing this, especially with people that say, oh, but oil production is not that important. I don't care about oil production within Alberta. Well, I hope you don't care about money either.
Well, Keith Wilson has had a terrific X account, and because he's had that terrific X account, I mean, he knows these issues inside and out. He knows the legal side inside and out, and I think he also knows the cultural side. Mm-hmm. I dread to think if Jason Kenney's even going to be able to walk out of this debate.
But also, Kirk Lubimov
because we need him for the second debate so we can actually beat him on camera. So don't thrash him too hard, Keith.
Exactly. Kirk Lubimov says, quote, excellent news. Donald Trump approved a pipeline that would take oil from Alberta, Canada to the U.S. It will increase Canada's exports to the U.S. by 12%. It's all pretty much approved on the Canadian side, as it will use some of the Keystone XL pipeline. It's a joint venture between South Bow and Bridger Pipeline. No carbon capture nonsense. No one cares about carbon tax. Just a handshake and let's get building. And let's leave this up here. I brought this one up because we're going to talk about this a couple times throughout the day, but I wanted everybody to see the map of the oil the pipelines that are coming out of the oil sands and things like that. All the pipelines are going through Saskatchewan. We need to build from Alberta directly to the United States, whether we get our independence or by, let's say if we don't, we still need to build a direct pipeline to the United States and to the West Coast. We're being boxed in and landlocked by our own freaking country called Canada. This is why independence is so damn important at this point. I mean, that seems to be the nationalist talking point. You're going to be landlocked. We're already landlocked. We're worse than landlocked because we're landlocked and then you're making us
empty our pockets and give it to the federal government and beg for the money back.
And have restrictions imposed day in, day out with new nonsense things like the carbon tax that halt production completely. But we were speaking about the potential of, we're seeing what underhanded tactics the left is going to use and has been started to use against the Alberta independence movement. But as Marty says here, says, I'm all about equal opportunity. Make sure you sign up with Thomas Lukaszik's and Naheed Nenshi's pro-Canada group. Because that would be interesting to see what they're saying.
And if you want to talk about collusion here, look at this.
Too, yeah.
I mean, how's the money flowing here? There was so much extra money from Lukaszik's. That being said, I don't want to get too hard on Lukaszik's, because if we start investigating how we got that petition and everything else, that door might just shut on that potential question. And that might end up being the only option. As underhanded as he is, he has opened a door for us. And I am appreciating that at this point. But man, the fact that he's openly interacting with the NDP on that was a website.
Yes. With their new little project for Alberta, for Canada, and then his on top of it. But I will say with Lukaszik's question, and we still have to see what the mechanism could be to make it or turn it or expand it or clarify it for it to be a constitutional question as well, which again hasn't been fully removed as an idea by Danielle Smith herself.
Well, and if Danielle Smith has to go with his question, or even if she goes with our question, I hope she puts out a statement that there have been 2 petitions. And so there is a longing for democracy on this particular question. She's going to use the stay free question because it meets a legal standard, but she's putting it forth on behalf of both petitions. That way, if something happens in the legal system or there's an investigation and they want to disqualify one of the petitions, Danielle Smith can say, I didn't just put it for that one petition, I put it for both petitions. So the petition question on October 19th has to stand, because they're doing certain attacks against the stay free question. I'm expecting they'll probably try to discredit both petitions to completely shut the door. We want to try to keep both doors open at this point.
Well, we're seeing that Jen lady, whatever her name is, from the Line podcast that calls herself the whistleblower and that she had connections inside and blah, blah, blah. That's how she got the information. We are already seeing her say, well, this is undemocratic. We have to get rid of any kind of citizen petition. So that might be the end goal of all of this.
She directly called for Lukaszik's petition and the stay free petition to be null and void now, which is absolutely ridiculous. You can write some comments on her channel, maybe.
But remember to keep it positive and polite and just say independence.
Keep it positive and polite, but let her know, because she does live in Alberta, that there is a lot of support for Alberta independence. Because that is a liberal channel, and she's definitely going to be in a bubble over there. I don't think a lot of independence supporters actually watch her channel. I did, only because I like to know what happened with the other side. And it just happened to be she ended up being the whistleblower. I had already
you've been watching that for a while now.
I've been yelling
why are you watching this?
Every time you would say, why are you watching this? And I'm like, well, she's from Alberta and it is the liberal talking point. So I want to know how to maybe convince liberals.
She had also a very interesting conversation, I will say, with Jason Kenney himself. And that's where we discovered that he has nothing, basically nothing to talk for Alberta to stay within Canada.
Yeah, that we did play clips from her show about Jason Kenney, only we didn't show her. That was the exact same show. So that little podcast, I think, is going to be one of the major mechanisms they try to push back against Alberta independence. So keep an eye on it. Do not subscribe to it, but keep an eye on it.
And that's why I say also watch it grow really quickly once the liberal side or the anti-independent side discovers how useful it can be to them.
And start putting money behind it.
Exactly. As we've seen happen with other channels. But from Mark Nixon, and speaking of Danielle Smith, says, today Smith on Alberta independence. She's working with Carney to deliver wins on energy, trade, and autonomy. Separatist support dropping as hope returns. And again, Mark, you should just come over to this.
Yeah, Mark. It's time for you to move to Alberta if you want to be free. Otherwise, you're going to lose your property to the end of private property rights in BC. That being said, this is a bit of a longer clip, so we're going to pause it periodically and talk about it.
well, Mark can keep waiting for Godot and waiting for the Conservatives to ever be able to do anything in that country.
Mark's not a bad guy. He's just holding out hope for something that's not going to actually happen. Yeah. There's no change coming in national Canada for a minimum of 3 years, and that change that you want with Alberta independence can be effected in a very timely manner and at an extent the National Conservatives could never dream of.
Mm-hmm. Many of these things, Alberta also has a separatist movement, which is not necessarily growing in size, but perhaps growing in visibility. There will be a likely referendum this fall on whether Alberta should become independent of Canada, which by all measures does not seem to be, would be successful. But there are questions about how this group has been cultivating relationships, not just in Alberta,
it's just like we have to just
notice that
bias the question at every single point here.
How she positions the question.
Within the United States, for example, and certain members of the Trump administration, which you have sort of publicly said, called out, you want to see no political interference in Alberta's domestic politics. So where does this movement have legs, and what do you see?
And pause it.
happening?
And this is why
they did it again. They're starting the conversation with foreign interference. Nobody support this.
Well, and this is why liberals are going to be shocked when the actual vote comes back, because what the mainstream media is going to feed them, is they have no chance. They're at 29%. There's no way. And then what they're going to try to say is, yeah, they only had 29%. That's obvious. That's what all the polling said. But people that wanted to stay part of Canada never showed up. So the smaller majority won. We're going to have to run another separatist election. Some kind of narrative they're going to try to build if they lose that vote.
And why would they be surprised, and why do they continue to try to do these psychological manipulations of the general public? Because they think most people still are influenced by that. And luckily, as Marty let us know when we interviewed him, not that many people even watch mainstream media that in Alberta itself.
Okay, let's let Danielle Smith kind of put it in her own words here and see what she says.
Well, I would say relationships take work. And I think this is one of the interesting conversations I've been having, whether it was in Germany, Sweden, or now in the UK, is there have been these kinds of conversations that have happened in other jurisdictions as well. There's these conversations happening right now in the UK, actually.
And then down in Texas in the US, right?
Yeah. And you can always find reasons to find division, but you should also be trying to find reasons to be together. And that's, I think, the renewed spirit that Prime Minister Mark Carney and I have taken, is that why has the relationship become frayed? And the relationship became frayed, quite frankly, because we had a previous government that spent the last 10 years damaging our economy, attacking our values, telling us that we should keep our oil and gas in the ground. And because we have a system of equalization payments, and we overpay into Confederation, using that money to subsidize the rest of the country at the same time as choking off the supply. So that, you can imagine, creates a lot of tension when anyone feels like their livelihood is at risk, that their investment's at risk, that they may not have a job, that their kids are moving away because they can't get a job, that there isn't opportunity.
And although she came out with this national appeal and said she's working with Mark Carney, she's actually vocalizing a lot of the concerns from Albertans, which as a national politician, I'm glad she's doing that. She's going to, looks to me that I hope she lets democracy rule the day in Alberta, because democracy has been lost in national Canada. This is the first time a majority government has been made through floor crossers.
Mm-hmm. Buy a house and take care of your family and your community. Those things cause tension. But when you can't have all of those things, when you know that you've got a partnership where everybody is working towards ensuring that economies can thrive, and this is the role of our federal government. They have a trade and commerce power, which has been historically used to help us get our products to market. It was never supposed to be used to block off access. It was meant to be used to clear away access. And I think that's the renewed approach that the Prime Minister and I are taking. Yeah, kind of
and I don't think it's a renewed approach. I think she's setting it up to pull the rug out from underneath Carney, or at least I hope she is. That being said, that we need to send a message to her on Monday when we submit that petition. We need to make sure there are thousands of people there, and we flood social media with this thing. She needs to know we have a threshold of signatures, number one. We have way over that threshold, and we're delivering it in person with a mandate for an October 19th referendum.
Mm-hmm. So we have, I don't think we're going to have 100% agreement on 100% of the issues, but if you can agree on the big things and work through them, that aspirationally, I think, is what most Albertans want to see. So yes, there was a lot of frustration when the Liberal government, once again, after 10 years, won another government. And so the frustration spilled over with the independence movement, getting as high as 40% approval in opinion polls. But it's come down to around 30%. And I think my job is to demonstrate that Canada can work, to identify in a real way the issues that are causing tension, and then to find ways to work through them. And I think that the Prime Minister has the same spirit. So
okay, and again, she can be a nationalist and want to fix the relationship with Alberta and National Canada all she wants, as long as she lets democracy rule the day and that question is on that October 19th ballot. She will save her political career. 92% of a lot of these rural districts are signed the petition for independence. They will still vote for her as long as she allows a vote to take place on October 19th.
And upholds democracy.
Yeah. So she's in a real position right now where her entire future political career, I think, rides on allowing that question to be asked on October 19th, especially if she ever wants to run for the leader of the Conservative Party. She's going to need those votes in Western Canada at some point.
And I do think that she's an intelligent woman and she knows that. And again, I know what she says. I think we should judge her more for the actions as we get closer and closer to the referendum than by what she says on stages.
I will say this. I have seen a lot of intelligent women, or at least one intelligent woman, do very stupid things at times.
Thank you.
So we need to keep pressure on her.
I'm not saying don't keep pressure on her. I don't do stupid things. What's one stupid thing I've done? There's my stupid thing.
The evidence is evident.
There's a stupid thing I've done. I'm kidding. I love him. But what's in standard trend? Quote, Alberta woman faces human rights tribunal over flyer opposing rainbow crosswalk in Westlock.
Read that one more time, please.
Alberta woman faces human rights tribunal over flyer opposing a rainbow crosswalk in
We
Westlock.
need to get rid of freaking tribunals. This is outside of the law. This is creating a second line of prosecution that uses two different standards. This is absolutely ridiculous. This has been going on inside of BC for well over a decade now. It's way out of line. We need one law that treats everybody the same. Everybody's equal in the eyes of the law. We reported earlier on the truck driver that's getting special treatment because
in actual court,
the federal government doesn't want him to be subject to deportation, which is
the
crazy.
Indian truck driver, yeah. But and again, I mean, rainbow crosswalks are just a stain on any city. And believe me, in Vancouver, there's too many of them.
But again, the big point here is these tribunal courts should not be existing in the first place. And once Alberta gets its independence, we need to make sure there's one court system for everybody.
And again, as Bukele said, if you don't get rid of the corrupt judges, you can't enact the change you want to see and to better a country or a town or a city or wherever you are. But now I'll go into your comments and then go into Alberta Personalities.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Glengun says, if I can get a ticket, I will be there. Let us know how it goes.
Oh, fantastic. I'm glad at least one of our viewers might be there.
Yeah, on May 25th.
Oh, May 25th.
I'm good, because Glengun is in Calgary.
Yeah.
Tonight is in Edmonton.
If there's anybody that's going to go to tonight's debate.
It's a members only thing.
Somebody might be a member.
Maybe. If you're a member, let us know. And then let us know how it went afterwards tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's why I want to keep trying to clarify because sometimes it gets confusing. Glenn Gunn says John Bolton will be there. Oh, good.
Oh, absolutely fantastic.
May 25th again.
Oh, God.
In Calgary. That's why I keep clarifying it because it gets confusing.
Maybe Talking to Albertans will be there because I think he's from around Edmonton.
Edmonton? Okay. But I don't know if he's a member.
Yeah.
Glenn Gunn says, or Gunner says, thank you, Nat, for calling me Gunner. You're welcome. Troglodyte says 1,000 people with blue hair and septum piercings. That's who they polled. Exactly. Jesse GP says, I can't see Centurion purposefully doing unlawful things considering they were advertising everywhere. I think they thought it was legit. Otherwise, they wouldn't have promoted it.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be cleared up with the court system, or that's what I'm really hoping. But after listening to the other side of the story and knowing the tale she's going to weave for the mainstream media, and she has 4 major interviews lined up with national press directly after her podcast, I'm absolutely sure that's going to be the headline story for next week, especially because on Monday, we're submitting the petition and we wanted to flood the zone with that. We still can on independent media, but you better believe mainstream media is going to be flooding the zone with this other story.
And it comes exactly at the time and again, they will probably run the story Monday with more fervently even. as to coincide with the delivering of all the petitions.
Well, and they'll frame
the
it,
petition.
and they'll frame it not as the Centurion Project, but as separatists, the separatist as a whole as well.
Exactly.
This is how it's going to be framed. We have to be ready for that. If you do have a social media account, even if you don't post on a regular basis, I highly recommend on Monday posting about us submitting the petition.
Yeah, if you can. Again, we do know that some jobs get nitpicky with things, unfortunately, and they've been trained to be so by the corrupt federal government. Todd says sabotaging our industries, as Mitch would say. Exactly.
Yeah.
And Glenn says, or Gunnar says, is China still there in the oil sands? I think they are. Look into that, please. And we have spoken about it before as well.
Yeah, as far as I know, because there keeps being reports coming up that security agencies from China are the ones securing the oil sands. That's basically code word for CCP. Security agents are securing oil sands and mining sectors within Alberta and British Columbia with illegal weapons that the federal government is trying to take away from Canadian citizens. But when CCP members have those same weapons on natural resource sites, it's absolutely okay with the federal government.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Troglodyte says they don't want extraction until they can control it. And again, that's why we've talked about the 30 by 30 plan and how that might be a way to federalize and get hold of a lot of those natural resources, not just within British Columbia, as we're seeing with the First Nations land grab, I will call it, but within Canada as a whole, which is why it's so important that right now, Alberta has to gain its independence. The referendum has to go through and people have to be voting for independence to rid themselves of the federal government. Todd says they must think we're stupid. Oh, believe me, they think that everybody is. That's not them and that does not agree with them. And that is one of the actual problems that they have, I would say, with their own line of thinking, that they discount everybody else. So when actual intelligence comes at them, they're shocked by it and they can't actually handle it, which is why they don't have the good talking points, which is why they can't defend Alberta staying within Canada either.
All the dots are there for what's going to happen to the natural resources in every single province. There is a coordinated effort to take sovereignty away from provinces and federalize the natural resources. People that aren't politically active or don't watch a lot of political shows don't know that these dots are being set up and the trap is being set. You're at a good point where there's a critical mass of people that want independence. We need to make them aware of a lot of these traps that are being set by the federal government, because if people choose to vote to stay with Canada, is not going to be a good road for the next 5 and 10 years.
Longer, I would say, for generations.
Now is the time for independence, and it's up to us to kind of show people what's going on and that independence is the light and the hope forward.
Yes. Glenn, our gunner, says China pulled out once, then came back in, and expect them to continue to do so. Justin GB says we are currently landlocked and policy locked. Once we are independent, the policy lock goes away.
Yeah.
Exactly. And again, that's another good point to continue to bring up and continue to explain it to people that might be on the fence or that say, oh, well, but we're going to be landlocked. Well, explain what the federal government and how it has actually locked production and anything, and even communication between provinces, not just within Alberta, but within all the provinces, how hard it is. It's easier to trade outside of Canada than amongst Canadian provinces themselves. Okay, now let's go into Alberta personalities before you keep tapping the little table.
But they need to understand that Albertans are done, we're leaving, and there's no more conversation to be had. I know that's upsetting to people.
And starting with Tom Dienz, not sure how to pronounce the name, says interview with constitutional lawyer Jeffrey Rath on the campaign for an independent Alberta.
Okay, and we can go into the clip if you want. I had actually never heard of this podcast. It was rather smaller, so if you want to subscribe, it will really will help him out. That being said, this was a very interesting interview. In the beginning, Jeff Rath vented a lot. Then he got into a lot of the nuts and bolts of what's going on inside Alberta independence. I find it absolutely fascinating. I actually had a viewer send this to me as well. What I'm also suggesting is Keith Wilson or Jeff Rath? Keith Wilson is also wanting to make a constitutional committee. I think a good compromise is hopefully he puts Jeff Rath on that constitutional committee and we can kind of stand together. We'll just play a little bit of it and then.
Hey guys, it's Tom Deans with the Esoteric Watchers Scientifica, also known as Sheepdogging with Tom Deans. Today's guest and weigh-in was with Jeffrey Rath. He's a constitutional lawyer located in southern Alberta, and he's done a tremendous amount of work during the health fascist COVID
And you can
era.
fast forward halfway
And
through. So we can
also
see
now,
Jeff.
Mr. Rath is currently the general counsel of many of our government too. We should.
That's
so,
good.
He's
guys,
out
it's worth tuning into the interview. Take the time and support the Alberta Prosperity Project, and let's work towards uniting. And,
Okay, yeah,
not
and I
dividing.
highly recommend going to watch that interview. It was rather long as well, and Jeff talked for a long majority of that and was really off the cuff. So, typical Jeff Rath. It was a good interview. He didn't hold anything back. That was for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And that was it for the personality. So I'll go back into comments. Glenn Gunn says, "Who cares about that wee man?" Not Jeff Rath or this other the guy with the podcast, but I think we were talking about Lukasik.
Yeah.
Sven the God Gronshow says they've controlled Canada from the very beginning. They're over 300 years old. That system, Lloyd's of London, is an example of the Chatham House.
Yeah, and then people are waking up to their own governments all around the world, not just inside of Canada, the EU especially, because there's multiple layers of government. It's not just corruption inside their own government, but there's a whole nother level called the EU, which is trying to take sovereignty away from these independent nations.
And Glenn Gunn says, "Yeah, that don't work in Alberta." Chocolate says, "Looking for a woman with oil well, please send photo of the oil well." Glenn Gunn says, "If you're asking, you're a lost cause." Not to Troglodyte, but I think to what we were talking about. Todd says, "Love the super fast blah blah blahs of Nat, so politely dismissive." Yeah, when I say, "Oh, whatever name, blah 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 blah." It's a very Mexican thing, I think.
Yeah.
So that's where I get it from. Glenn or Gunner says, "I don't like Monday's great tune when we see the signatures." True. Hold on. Glenn. Oh, there we go. Glenn says she's had a year of carny. Zip happened. She better find a new approach. Independence is the new approach, in my opinion.
Well, as long as she lets October 19th go through, I think her approach is going to be fine. She just needs to let democracy rule the day. And if people have grievances, they need to have a way to vent those grievances. That October 19th vote is that. And I think we've made it clear to her. I think she does know.
Glenn and Gunn or Gunner says the budget came out. Zip for Alberta. She better put her jeans back on, leave the skirts at home, and work. Todd says, "Yeah, just make sure we're not like Canada, Danny, and we get we can get a port in the States at Pacific and Gulf of good old America."
Yeah, and let's just remember that if we do vote for independence and it is successful, Danielle Smith is actually the one that engages in the negotiations with National Canada, which may sound a little bit ridiculous, but Keith Wilson went in depth on this. And the only way to get somebody else to do those negotiations is if she steps down and steps aside. So she could play a very interesting role, not just going forward on the October 19th ballot, but she's really the one to engage in the negotiations with National Canada. And that will be a real interesting moment in Albertan politics.
Troglodyte says she needs to go full chuck wagon. Justin JB says, "I was going to go tonight, but had to do shift coverage." I'm not sure if you mean to the debate or to maybe the Let's Talk Alberta. Not sure. Let us know. But unfortunately, you're having to work. Believe me, I understand. KP for you says on RUMBLE, you also have to watch who funds the pollsters. It's quite similar to the media.
Yeah, pollsters have lost all credibility at this point, and the betting markets are becoming the new way to kind of understand where the balance of power is tipping in particular elections. And right now, the betting markets, last time I checked, and it was like 3 weeks ago, was 60% in favor of Alberta independence. That was the prediction market.
Todd says, "I'm going to the debate in Calgary, guy. Of course, you know it." Oh, let us know how it goes. And good to have someone on the inside. Todd
And
says,
who was that?
Todd. And Todd says, and the signature delivery, of course. I'm guessing on Monday.
Todd,
Good.
if you can,
Thank you.
take notes while you're there and send us an email. We'll go all through
Well,
it.
that's the one on the 25th.
Oh, the 25th.
Again, that's why I keep trying to clarify for people because you don't understand.
Okay.
So I'm sure more people are confused too.
Let's all air up there.
Todd says, would have had an insider. Because Justin GP says, yep, had the tickets in my cart and then looked at the calendar. Was that the one today? Because that would have been cool, but again, work comes first. Raptor fan says, has the debate started? No, it starts at 8 p.m. But again, it will not be streamed or televised. It is a private conference from the Civitas Center or whatever it's called, and it's a members only thing conference.
I will say this. I used to work on Saturday nights when UFC used to go, and the only way to get updates was written updates. If somebody on their X account literally just give written updates of what questions are being asked and what their general responses are, a lot of people would be interested in that. So if anybody is at that debate tonight, just giving updates periodically would be awesome.
But again, they work under a mechanism and a system of membership only, and it's a ticketed event for members only, and they work under Chatham House rules. So if you don't want to risk your membership,
you've explained this a lot.
But if you don't want to risk your membership, if you want to stay within that organization, then maybe just don't mention who's saying what.
Okay, Nat, we understand. Rules.
You don't.
Let's go into Alberta's Canada if we can.
So he wants to shut me up. Where's the free speech, guy? Where's the free speech? Let's go into Alberta's Canada. We'll see.
You're angry now. Oh no, I've angered her.
Let's go into Alberta's Canada, and we call it Alberta's Canada because Alberta is the only thing still holding up Canada, and Canada will crash fast and hard after Alberta leaves. Shut up.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people.
Starting with, there will be a debate tonight, believe me. Won't be the Keith Wilson and Kenny one. Mark Nixon says, quote, disgusting. Mark Carney was asked what his thoughts are of Conservatives going down to Washington, D.C. A Team Canada approach would have been the more the merrier. His response is, of course, revolting. And his little jacket is incredibly ridiculous.
Yeah.
My question is that do you think that the Conservative...
What? He's got Edmonton Oilers tie. Signaling to Albertans, I'm from Alberta too. That's all he ever says. Like, he's not an Albertan, period.
No. He's not Canadian, basically, period.
Diplomatic missions to Washington, D.C. help or hurt your government's efforts as you are negotiating with Americans?
Well, look, it's we're both free countries, so people can go where they wish. Any information that's it has not been our experience that people have gone to Washington and have learned anything new, nor has it been that they have learned everything that is either being discussed on the table or where the negotiations are. In the end, there's one negotiator for Canada, and that is the Government of Canada. Our
basically saying, and that is me, and I don't negotiate because I don't want to negotiate.
Well, we both live in a free country. No, one country is free, one country is not free, and that's why part of that country wants to break free.
Exactly. That should just say it all.
Blockers in the United States are generous people. They're generous with their time, and it's good of them to meet a host of Canadians coming down. But in the end, they know and we know that we're the negotiators. So, thank you.
My question
is... you're negotiators. It's been made very clear you're not even in negotiations. You're barely in talks right now. You haven't even entered the negotiations yet, and you promised a conclusion to this a year ago.
Elbows up. God. But Ellie Kenton tells us, quote, this might end David Eby career. Oh, if it were just so. Says an exclusive interview with Conservative Party of BC leadership candidate Carrie Lynn Findlay coming soon.
Well, and I like Ellie, and I'm glad to see he's getting political interviews in different provinces. Fantastic for him. I watched her on the debate, and these Conservatives are really trying to put on a Dallas Brody skin suit at this point and adopt her talking points and pretend like this has been them the entire way through.
It has not.
She dresses like a politician. She looks like a politician. Now, I don't actually know a lot about her, so maybe she's better than I think. But
I remember her name.
She's no Dallas Brody, that's for sure.
No. And apologies to Elliot or Elliot. I'm still not sure how to pronounce your name, so sorry.
We are headed in the wrong direction. I am worried for my province. He is literally pushing us off a cliff. This is a classic socialist government overreach move.
As Premier, will you support having pipelines go through British Columbia? Some have called for the Human Rights Tribunal here in British Columbia to be abolished. Another big issue is immigration.
We cannot do this temporary foreign worker program.
BC, they decided to do a decriminalization experiment.
The decriminalization experiment was a disaster. Government is fueling them towards death. Now there's
and we'll play the rest of it. I actually watched the conservative debate where she was in it, and it was like every single conservative on stage had the exact same answers. There was no conflict. Everybody agreed on everything. And that same Conservative Party voted all these policies in all the way through. But now that they got enough cover because Dallas Brody is there, they're switching their policies. They're the ones that implemented a lot of these policies, gave land acknowledgements and everything else. The reason we're in this mess is because of the Conservative Party within British Columbia. We need more politicians with backbone like Dallas Brody over there. I'm glad they're starting to come around to her way of thinking. But
tent cities and crime around those tent cities.
Do you believe, in light of this, that land acknowledgements should be banned?
I have never said that we're here on stolen land.
You have promised that you would ban transgender surgeries for minors. Would you?
Don't fully believe that, but 1 second. Because they have definitely been giving land acknowledgements. Philip Soliu, hello. Thank you so much for being here. And for the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, Carney, so much for Harvard. Great program. Great program, you too. No fussing, LOL. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being here. And again, I believe, if I remember correctly, you're from Louisiana. So we have viewers from the US interested in Alberta's independence and with what's going on with Canada, hopefully to not replicate the same idiocy that goes on in Canada in the US. Yeah. And I'm glad that Glenn Beck also, for example, talks about and highlights Canada to show how insane it is. But continuing with more identity and the land acknowledgements.
You be willing to use the notwithstanding clause?
I'm a mother of 4. I will always move to protect children. This is where you get back to common sense in government.
And again,
do go watch the interview. I'm sure it will be interesting. Elia or Eli Continental's YouTube channel. It's coming soon. Doesn't say what.
And he's going all across Canada. He was in Alberta, and when he goes to Alberta, he actually talks about Alberta independence, which is fantastic because when other national content creators come here, some reason they just leave it all out. Now he's going to BC, so I'm glad to see he got that interview. I really hope he does interview Dallas Brody as well, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fantastic on his part.
And lastly, the Insane Asylum of Canada, Ryan Gertison says, quote, I was watching CTV Calgary and the weather came up. You can't tell me that what these people did to the color of the temperature. I've been talking about this forever, for years now.
This happens all around the world now in Western countries. Climate change.
Let me explain what it is. You can't tell me that what these people did to the color of the temperatures on weather maps wasn't to manipulate the public. Even low temperatures make it look like the country is on fire. Madness. And yeah, before, when you would look at temperatures like the 20s, 25s, those would always be kind of green and not alarmist colors. Now everything's yellow or red, even if it's like 23 degrees, which is not hot.
Again, the back half of the work week comes around. We're really going to see those winds calm down and those.
Pause it. Okay, you can see the temperatures are high here, and then when it goes to the low temperatures, the red comes on the map. It's crazy.
The work week comes around, we're really going to see those winds calm.
You can't tell me 17 is orange. You still need a jacket when it's 16, 15, 17. 14.
Down, and those temperatures increase even more. But look where we're at right now. 14 in the city, 15 in Lethbridge, Milk River, Medicine Hat. So a lot of areas in the mid to high teens right now in the south. More in the central part of the province, looking pretty good too. The capital region at 17 degrees, over in Edson, 18 right now. That warm up will really intensify tomorrow as we get a ridge of high pressure moving in. So our normal high for this time of year is about 14 degrees in the city. We're going to be happy with that 21 tomorrow, getting up to 22 in Brooks, and even the central parts of the province.
She's literally saying we're
So sorry about that. I hope we're still live. Let me know if you can see this. Yes, Mexican internet, Mexican electrical grid is not the best. And again, if you've never been to Mexico City, we have all these, all of our power lines are above ground. So if a truck comes by or anything happens to one of them, everything shuts down. So I'm very sorry about that. But again, we're still here. Apologies.
She was beating me. I'm back. She sent me straight. She did not like...
People clip things and then they believe them.
She did not like my commentary. That. No, the power went completely out. Yeah, sorry about that.
Fully dark. So
why don't we go into comments?
Yes.
If
Let me try
anybody-
to bring them back up because I think it paused as well. So I'm going to have to reload it.
Thanks for everybody that did stick around.
Yes.
I'm just setting up the TVs and the lights again here. So give me just a
Let me
moment.
try to reload it and see
Oh,
if
it's not even connected there.
Oh, no.
Oh, there it is.
No. But thank you so much, Philip Solia. We were just talking about that.
And there's a few comments there. So why don't you read those ones?
Because I can't bring them up. That's what I'm trying to do. But funnily enough, I just want to bring the last ones after the power went out. Ow, my eye. I'm going to have to read it here.
And the reason I was messing with the TV remote is because, well, we can see the feed and stuff. So
Yes. So I'll read the other ones that had come in before, but let me read the funny ones. Justin B says, Nat's busy beating guy. No.
yes.
Power went out.
Yes. I'm blinking 3 times.
Todd says, they're in Mexico, gotta go build a snoo quick, lol. Glenn Gunn says, never underestimate the power of a couple. They are at work, watch the eyes, they don't lie, just saying. No. He wishes. Todd says, they power couple dynamic duo that disappeared. So sorry again.
Well, it's glad because very often the power will go out and it'll come back on in a couple minutes. So
yeah. So it might go out again. So apologies if it does go out again.
When we first moved to Mexico City, once we fled Canada under the Trudeau regime, we did a live stream and there was a freaking earthquake during the live stream.
So you can go back and see that one as well.
I'm going to make a quick coffee. You can read some comments.
Oh, great. He always likes to abandon me. Oh no, hold on. I lost it. I lost the stream again. Let me go to these two. Del Robinson says, hi, Nat and Guy. Hello, Del Robinson says, smash the like button. Yes, please do, especially after our little power outage. Hopefully it didn't last that long. Let me switch accounts again so I can actually read your other messages that you were sending. Still a little frazzled for the technical difficulties. We used to have so many more technical difficulties. Believe us, we started streams without our microphones on. We are still learning. Let's just say that. Hold on. Let me read a few more of the other ones that came in that I can't bring up on screen because they are funny. Sven de Groen says, spearmongering is all they have, and exactly. Troglodyte says, communist bargain spell correct. Hold on. Glenn says, that's why I stay. Thank you so much. And Jesse B says, it was Bigfoot. He tripped over their power cord with his big feet. Maybe, but again, here, if a buzz strikes slightly a power line, then the whole power goes out for the block, and then you have to wait for the very inefficient energy company to come and fix it. Glenn says, Mexico got boomed. No, no, not yet, at least. Although there is interesting news here in Mexico, I hope I eventually will go back to my Spanish show as well. Lyle says, I see ya, good, thank you. Troglodyte says, plug it back in, Shanebaum. Oh, believe me, she's the most inefficient one of all. She wants to take away all the power so she can grab it all for herself. Span says, we can see you, good, thank you. Glenn says, maybe they had a timeout. No, unintentional timeout, yes.
Well, and I will say, you can put me back on there. I will say maybe Mark Carney and Claudia Scheinbaum are plotting against us.
Oh yeah, true. Together. I'm sure Trump would not love that though. Todd says, the weather network screws over my uncle on forecast all the time on cement pours. Not fun, not reliable anymore. Scam. And that's unfortunate as well, especially for people that rely on that information.
There's a couple weather people that are like independent weather channels on YouTube. Yeah. I watch them. They're far more accurate and they're very interesting on their long-term predictions for the weather and things like that.
Yes, and then I'll go back up to read all the rest of your comments that you had left before our little power incident.
Well, let's go to...
But these are funny. Glenn or Gunnar says you two were smooching. No, actually not. And Jess says your shirt is on backwards, Guy. LOL. But it's not.
It's a different shirt now. I have 6 of these, so no, I have 1.
Todd says, like I said before, Guy, in it for the long haul. Yes, smells like rain here. They forecasted no rain.
Yeah.
Don't trust them. Glenn says both are smiling.
Well, if you see a plane and then you see rain.
Yeah. Glenn Gunn says both are smiling. Troglodyte says hair is must. No, it's not. It's always this messy. And Don says just so funny. And Todd says, no, you two are a power couple, an unpowered couple for a few seconds there. But thank you so much for sticking with us after the outage.
And thanks for everybody for coming back. So yeah, I was like, oh, that's the power. That's it.
That's the show.
Well, actually, we got quite a few viewers. Let's keep going with the last section here.
Todd says, "Don't fart might cause a blackout." So that one's for Guy.
If that was the case, there'd be a blackout every night.
And Daryl says, "Need a power backup supply." So we actually have 2, just so if there's power outages or all our equipment doesn't mess up and get fried. But unfortunately, it doesn't hold enough power to actually power the whole thing.
Yeah, one
day when we have
one day we'll get one of those big power blocks with solar stuff, but
we have
not
to wait.
right now.
No, not possibility right now. Glenn says, Gunnar says to Guy, let's not go there on the weather stuff. Because it's probably true. Okay, so yes, let's go back into...
Let's go to Alberta and the World now.
Yes, hold on. Now I have to scroll all the way back to comments so I'm at the right place when we actually start back up again with the comments we missed. But let's go to Alberta and the World. Yeah, I believe it's still the same stream. So thank you everybody who came back or who stuck it out to figure out what had happened to us while we were
I'm shocked YouTube did it in the stream, so that's great.
I think because it stays kind of connected. I don't know. It's happened before. Don't know how the mechanism works, but thank you for being here.
Okay, let's
go into, hold on. CBC Watcher says, hilarious. For years, CBC has claimed everyone and everything on the right is infested with conspiracy theorists, tracking them down, podcasts, news specials, and scare videos. Now that the latest Trump shooting has inspired left-leaning loony conspiracies, CBC brings in a lecturer at the University of Waterloo and studies disinformation to softly minimize that it's on both sides of the political spectrum, according to David Common. And they always use the same tactic as well.
I can only imagine the narrative they're going to try to build on Monday with that whistleblower story we covered in the beginning. Exactly. This is going to be their big attack for the next couple months.
And again, the most important thing is to, number one, stay positive, but number two, continue to give the reasoning for why Alberta independence, the true, actual, factual reasons as to why Alberta being independent is going to be so much better for every citizen within Alberta.
And make it very clear that the APP was not involved with anything with the Centurion project.
Yeah, because they are already trying to connect those dots. But let's see the disinformation expert.
People do not believe that the assassination attempt happened as it has been described on both the political right and left. There are theories that the event was staged. Carmen Celestini watches these conspiracies. She is a lecturer at the University of Waterloo and studies disinformation. Yes. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
What are some of the theories?
She does look like she watches conspiracies.
Well, they're trying to already build these conspiracies now. So if Alberta does get its independence or votes for independence, they're going to come up with conspiracy theories about the whole thing was rigged.
That are out there.
There are some that are completely absurd about a child of Erica Kirk coming back in time and time traveling.
Charlie Kirk's widow.
Yes, coming back in time to take out Donald Trump to save the world, and more that are, based on just questions like the mentalist holding up the card with a word on it. Was it a signal? Or the look on Donald Trump's face when the bullets first were sounding.
What did it tell you? I mean, this is not a very small minority of people who believe something else happened, that this was staged in some way. And it's on both sides of the political spectrum. Absolutely. What does it tell you about this moment that we are in, that it is so much more widespread than conspiracy theories have been in the past?
Well, when people feel like the world is chaotic and there's one disaster after another, or that the government doesn't represent them.
It's crazy they're going mainstream media pitching conspiracy theories and things like that.
Because it benefits them.
Stick to reality. Sasquatches and werewolves only, please. And portals, maybe.
According to you, there's a portal on every corner, apparently.
Yeah.
And what is it that the Sasquatches are aliens, you said?
We're not going to go into it right now. I don't got time for our lecture.
Let's get through the Alberta and the World section, and then I can ask him more.
Okay. I can educate you.
Thank you. Rise of Alberta says, quote, Trump has approved permits for the 500,000 BPD Brigadier pipeline. Bridger pipeline moving crude oil from Alberta through Montana to Wyoming. If the U.S. can open the doors for Alberta energy while Canada keeps closing them, it's another reason for Alberta to become independent and control our own future.
Well, and again, Trump's making a big deal about this in the States, which is good. This is good for Alberta independence, especially if Carney doesn't take up on these pre-approved offers.
And he's also, sending a message very loud and clearly.
A presidential permit authorizing the Bridger pipeline, sir. This is a transborder pipeline similar to the old Keystone XL pipeline. It'll significantly expand our ability to move oil around North America, oil and gas around North America. It's a huge deal in terms of long-term energy dominance and energy security.
Slightly different than the last administration.
Very different.
They wouldn't sign a pipeline deal, and we have pipelines going up. And by the way, they're way underground. They're not a problem. Nobody even knows they're there. It's so crazy, but they wouldn't approve anything having to do with the pipeline.
Okay, you can leave it there. And now it's all on Carney because Carney can literally approve the pipeline on the Canadian side. He likes to put barriers in his own way, saying, oh, well, I can't do it because the First Nations or this or that. None of that is true. He can literally sign off on it and they could build it tomorrow if they want. And this really sends a message to Albertans that Carney is not interested in pipelines because they're already pre-approved on the other side of the border.
However, something he would be very happy to approve, and we spoke about it about a month ago. We brought out a video about the EU and Canada potentially joining it, and everybody called us crazy. And then we continue to see the mainstream media, opinion sections and polls and etc. bringing it up further and further. So again, why are they doing this? The Globe and Mail says, quote, opinion, Europe is flailing, so why would Canada hitch its wagon to the EU? And to China.
And they actually give a lot of reasons why we should hitch our wagon to the EU, which is just pure propaganda. You're going to have two failing countries combined together to be one gigantic failing country. This is ridiculous. This narrative is constantly being spun by mainstream media. I'm always bringing it up because I really think Carney is tiptoeing his way towards Europe.
Yep. And as we also see, the European Union and Europe joining further and further with China itself.
Well, and one of the big bailout plans, I believe, for Europe is the idea of Canada and the natural resource sector, which Carney, isn't accessing right now. But once he tiptoes towards Europe and he aligns there, that's when he's going to access it. That's why he's trying to get federal control of a lot of these lands. He's just putting in the base layer now with the 30 by 30 project, as well as a lot of other things.
Okay, now we can go into your comments. Glenn or Gunner says, someone find the debate online. Unfortunately, I think the one tonight will be pretty impossible to find. Todd says, yeah, I was meaning like the natural resource sabotage. We must think we're out to lunch on. Yeah. And Glenn says, it's there somewhere. Todd says, guys on it. Todd says, yeah, this nice guy, all right, kind of dry. Haven't watched him and Jeff yet, so I got to go check it out. Oh, about that interview that we brought up.
Yeah, Jeff's a little bit bombastic in the beginning, and I think we do need to unite and come together. And so, yeah, I'll leave it there. It was a good interview, and Jeff Rath really did speak off the cuff. I like Jeff Rath. I like Keith Wilson. If they are making what was it again? A constitutional committee. Just let Jeff Rath be a part of it, and let's all kind of work together in unison.
Todd says, happening all over the world, guy, freedom fighters unite. Yes,
yeah,
exactly. And that's why we need to be able to speak to other parts of the world where similar things are happening, and that can, in the end, help promote Alberta independence, talk about Alberta independence, and when the underhanded tactics begin, probably on Monday, they can also talk about it and highlight it outside of Canada to say, look at how insane these people are, that they don't want to let actual democracy come through.
I got a good clip for tomorrow's show about the premier of Manitoba, which, God, he's really out there, but I got a good clip about him and censorship. So
Todd says, Danny can do it. I have faith in Danny. Todd Talk says, sheesh, holy needy. Justin GP says, I had tickets for May 1st, but had to work tonight. Oh, okay, so it was for tonight. Wow. That's interesting, actually. Unfortunately, you had to work.
Tickets, but maybe she couldn't get, maybe he couldn't get a refund and maybe give it to a friend.
No, because he said that he was looking at the card on the card for checkout online and then realized what the date was and that he had work. And just says, I will be at Elections Alberta on Monday, though. Good. And if you can, there will be a lot of pictures, but if you want to send us your personal one, we can bring it up on the show too. Todd says, was almost there tonight. Super shucks. Yeah. And Todd says, where's the free speech guy? Quit interrupting. Thank you. Exactly. Justin GP says, sorry, had tickets in my card for May 1st. Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain. Unfortunate, but again, work does come first. Todd says, oh my God, get that tie off. Carney with his Oilers tie, and his little ridiculous jacket,
and take off that cowboy hat he always wears when he comes to Edmonton and Calgary.
Yeah. Todd says, cursed our Oilers again, and probably so, exactly. And Jesse GP, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, saying, the real Justin GP misses the real Steven Jensen, so the super chat is for him and everyone else.
Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, where is Steven Jensen?
Yeah, we haven't seen him in a while.
No, but Steven, if you see this on replay, hello, and thank you for always being so
Alberta
supportive.
is really active right now with a lot of in-group meetings and things like that.
Yeah,
so
true.
a lot of people are watching us on replay, and we
thank
do
you so
appreciate everybody that does watch us on replay.
Yes, hopefully they understand that after the outage, we came back. We came back from the dark. Glenn Gunner says, this guy is false, wannabe non-god. Exactly. They want to be gods. Chocolate says, slimy little weasel. Yes. Todd says, first time I ever seen this guy in blue. Mark, WTF. Cosplaying, wearing costumes. Just like Trudeau before him. Lyle says, the Oilers are out of the playoffs now, and I blame Carney. Cursed by Carney, exactly.
The Carney curse.
Todd says, hard to have on the screen, blood pressure rising. It was a quick clip. And I think the power went out soon after that. So maybe it was God's way of telling us, shut up, Mark Carney. To shut up Mark Carney. Don Nadalek, hello, thank you for being here. Says, saying hi, late Nan and Guy, but better late than never. Exactly, and thank you for being here. Todd says it's his fault they're out. Yeah, just blame it on him. Exactly. Everything is his fault.
Well, it's shocking. Oilers all over the tie, and you're trying to do everything you can prevent from oil actually coming out of the province.
Exactly. Cosplaying. Glenn Gunn says this guy's a good person, says the truth. Not sure who that one was, but obviously not Mark Carney. Troglodyte says Dallas Brody is awesome. Oh, Ellie Continental. That's who you mean is a good person. Yes.
Yeah.
And we'd love to interview him too. We're trying to figure out if we can. We've sent a message.
And we sent a message to Dallas Brody as well. So hopefully she responds and we can get an interview with her, because she's the only politician I honestly respect in British Columbia right now.
Yeah.
And it's shocking that she's willing to stick it out in a province that's done for.
Lost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Todd says the fussing is what brings the cows to the yard. T-Mac 1970 says, wasn't George Washington educated at Yale? Lots of dummies go through post-secondary programs.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't call George Washington a dummy, but yes, I believe he was, though. Glenn Gunn says, most geniuses go through the colleges that will accept the low-end students, not the elite. And back to where we were, Glenn Gunn says, I like the tune. I think the Alberta and the World tune that goes into that section.
Oh, yeah.
Troglodyte says, both sides, what a canard. Yep. And Glenn Gunn says, oh, I'm bleeping God. True. Permar 007 says, I'm a conspiracy expert. I watched all the X-Files episodes at least 3 times.
Yeah.
So now you have someone to talk to.
I feel like a conspiracy expert as well. I've ran out of conspiracy shows to watch so much, so I watch podcasts that are audio only at this point that tap into really fringe subjects.
I don't. Todd says, I don't care what either one of them goofballs have to say.
Well, I wouldn't call Keith Wilson a goofball.
No. Something we were talking in Alberta and the World. What story could have that been? Oh, about the conspiracy theories. Yeah. I don't care either about what one of those goofballs are trying to say, but we're seeing the mechanism that CBC wants to apply and the type of people they're going to bring on. Glenn says they are smarter than me. No, they're not. I mean, the CBC guy and the conspiracy expert. Sean says Guy doesn't believe in time travel. Come on. Do you believe in time travel?
Oh, definitely. Forwards and backwards. I used to only believe in forwards time travel, but then I did some investigation.
It's because you're backwards. Glenn Gunn says X-Files had too many real, true ideas. True. Edward says the CBC talking about misinformation. Lol. Yeah, it's the irony of it all.
The CBC is the misinformation.
That was the joke, I guess. Maybe it's a comedy show now. Glenn Gunn says the EU sucks for the price is right. I mean, sucks up for the right price. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Canada seems more and more attractive, especially if they can implement the 30 by 30 plan and federalize things to their own convenience. Daryl Robinson says, Bridger is huge to the TMX. Bridger is huge to the TMX to Vancouver port, can never run at full capacity. The port is too shallow for super tankers. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're going to have to do some hardcore negotiations with British Columbia once Alberta gets its independence so we can guarantee access to the coast, and shutting off that pipeline might be part of that.
Todd says, why is an AI of Carney on my YouTube screen trying to sell a QR in Australian accent? I'm guessing it's an ad. I'm sorry about that. Says you can get that $1,000 a day. Just hit the QR with your phone. Don't do it. Don't do it. Probably a scam. Thank you so much to JP Alberta First for the $10 super chat, saying if it wasn't for the carnage that would ensue, Plan B might have been a lot easier and cleaner than Plan A. I'm grateful that there is a path for Plan A. Comments?
Read it again. Too many A's and B's there for me. It went over my head.
Let me hold on because I need to reload the stream. JP Alberta First says if it wasn't for the carnage that would ensue, Plan B might have been a lot easier and cleaner than Plan A. I'm grateful that there is a path for Plan A. Comments?
It's going over my head. What's your comments on this one?
Sure it is. I am grateful also that there, if it is what you're talking about and what I'm assuming you're talking about regarding the referendum, yes, I'm glad that Plan A is still looks like and hopefully it will
for
be
the referendum. I was thinking his plan for Canada and how Trump threw a monkey wrench into the globalist plans, and now they're having to go to their secondary
maybe
plans.
It could be that too.
Anyway, but if it has to be with the referendum, yeah, I hope Plan A goes best, or I hope the primary plan of Stay Free Alberta is the question. But I'm just happy to have the door open on a secondary question, and it also gives Danielle Smith a lot of room to pivot, but really make it look like she's still on the nationalist side when she's, I think, going to really let democracy go through on October 19th, or at least I hope so.
Okay, yeah. If it is what I interpreting it as.
And thanks for the super chat, by the way.
Thank you so much. And if you want to clarify, you don't have to send another super chat, but if you want to clarify it and maybe further explain which segment you're talking about, if it's the referendum or if it's more US, Canada, etc., let us know. Glenn Gunn says that's why they want a deep port up north. Yeah. Valerie Drossel says debate on the 25th is in Calgary. Yes, exactly. And that's what I've been trying to explain this whole show, because honestly, they did make it pretty confusing by announcing both and then by not letting people know initially that the one today is a closed door event for members only, blah, blah, blah.
Well, and also we've been interviewing a lot of people within Alberta Independence, and they've been very generous with their time and agreeing to interviews. I think in 2 or 3 weeks, because we're starting to really book up, I'm going to try to invite leftists on the podcast or people with opposite opinions to have them flush out their view, because I think their view is a weak view, and just having them explain it is the best way to hang that view, number one. But number two, so I can reach out to them again and hopefully get them in a debate from somebody from the other side, whether it's me or whether it's somebody else that we had interviewed as well. Mm-hmm. Right now, I don't know. I don't have a personal relationship with any leftist podcasters or anything like that. So to put on a debate is really hard. I mean, if I reach out of the blue, they're not going to trust me enough to say, okay, I'll do a debate.
True. And
because I would love to host debates on the channel, and the Alberta Independence debate would be an absolute fantastic debate amongst anybody. It's even more special when it's Keith Wilson, though.
And let me try to read some of the RUMBLE comments. Hopefully we're still up on RUMBLE. I wasn't able to check. I did try to check. Oh, but hold on first. I'll get to your Rumble. Don't worry. JP Alberta First, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Again, I said you didn't have to super chat, but says to Sean, you're right, it would be messy, but the elite wouldn't end up at the forefront, so there's that advantage. Again, if it's what I'm thinking, because Sean had said Plan B would be messy, which is what JP Alberta First is replying to. Again, clarify, because in my head, it's meaning two very different things.
She's got a lot of things going on in her head, though, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, I have to deal with him all day. But if you, again, don't super chat, but clarify, please, JP Alberta First, which Plan A and Plan B you mean, because again, I'm interpreting it as two different things. Maybe I'm naive and dumb, but please clarify it for me.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut and just in case the power...
Good.
Oh, here we go.
Continue to do so. For a while. I'm going to read now the RUMBLE comments.
No, let's go over to RUMBLE and then read them.
We still have a lot of other comments on YouTube.
We do.
I'm just trying to, because I said I would read more of the RUMBLE ones on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hold on. Keep It For You says, we must have 1 million signatures, eh? You must have done pretty good to Justin GP. And again, Justin GP was a great canvasser and also kept us updated on it. So thank you so much.
And I'll say my opinion on what the signature count is and stuff. A lot of people are saying they want less signatures than more. I actually don't want less signatures, and I don't want more signatures. My goal for the entire thing is to get over 406,000 signatures. So we have more than Lukaszik's petition. That way it kind of puts a little bit of pressure on Danielle Smith to say we're the primary petition ballot. And we had a higher standard to gain those signatures as well.
And thank you so much to Sean.
Thank you.
For the $1.99 super chat.
$1.99. Are you out of your mind? That used to be a commercial on TV.
Okay. Saying I worry about foreign soldiers from the PRC. Don't we all?
Yeah,
People's
and the fact that
Republic of
that's
China.
even going on, and the fact that it's going on in Alberta of all provinces is so crazy. The more I report on Alberta, I always thought that a lot of these policies hadn't seeped into the level that they had, and obviously there is a major problem right now. We're lucky enough to have enough like-minded people in the province that there's a good possibility we're going to get independence.
And JP Alberta First says 1776 had foreign soldiers. Okay, now I get it. I think the whole Plan A, Plan B, etc. It is what I was kind of the avenue my head went towards. Della Robinson says the debate tonight is sold out. Yeah, because again, I think it's a small event as it is anyways.
Yeah.
And again, members only, etc., etc. But thank you for letting us know that. Let me go back to our UMBLE so I can actually read some of these. Justin GP, that was a weird noise.
That was an alarm in the hallway.
Justin GP says, I didn't do as well as big cities. Grand Prairie only has 75,000 people, so the signatures are less comparatively. I almost got 400, which is good considering the population. It's incredible.
You put the work in.
Yes.
So the fact that
Don't sell yourself short.
do not sell yourself short. Yeah.
And thank you for everything you did.
And again,
continue to do.
And I am going to say in this next phase, when we're really trying to convince people to vote for independence or to at least stay home and not vote against it, we need to be focusing specifically on Calgary and Edmonton. That's where these big coalitions of nationalists are. We know in the rural sectors of Alberta, they're voting 80 and 90% for independence because they're all signing the petition. So we really need to focus on Alberta and Calgary and Edmonton.
KP4U says you need a data center in the studio, LMAO. One day, maybe. One day.
We're barely holding things together as it is.
Exactly.
We fled Canada with the shirts on our back.
Basically, after having saved up for about 4 years. Krista says, hello, dears, Alberta Independence. Hello, Krista, and thank you for being here. Justin GP says, and one day after the Emergency Act falsehood, there were at least 3 people that purposefully came up to me and said they were afraid to sign.
Yeah.
And that's why you also can't trust polls. Trust the people on the ground, I would say. Krista says, good evening, Jess, KP, and everyone else. Justin GP says, I think Nat unplugged the power to keep Guy in line. I wish it were that. I wish it were that
and
easy.
start beating me with the power cord.
Again, people clip things and the people are going to believe it. It's not true. I don't beat it.
Clip it. Clip the truth. Let it get out there.
No.
She's small, but she's feisty.
He knows jujitsu, again. Comparatively.
That's why she always uses weapons.
Krista says, you're great up there, sir. Thank you to Justin GP. And Justin GP says 400 isn't bad considering we have 1/15 of the population of Edmonton or Calgary. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it also shows a lot of the
remember,
interest
there's
in it.
7,000 canvassers, and they were all working hard. So we really hit every region of Alberta. We did a really great job, and I can't wait till Monday.
Yes.
And no matter what comes out on the mainstream media on Monday, we need to be proud, and we need to be posting the results of how many signatures we actually got.
And also staying positive and continuing to give the reasons for Alberta independence and going focusing on Alberta independence and moving towards that goal.
Monday is supposed to be a celebration, and I know what the mainstream narrative is going to be on Monday. It was in our opening segment. We need to stay focused and stay positive, and Monday we have something to be positive about, and that is the number of signatures we got. No matter what that number is, we know we hit way over the threshold.
And the hard work from all the canvassers too.
Yeah.
Hold on. Justin GP says, I hope we have lots, but my guess is 350,000.
I'm hoping at 406. So if it comes under that, I'll still be happy because 350 is way over the threshold. So I'm hoping for 406. And the reason I'm hoping for that number is that beats Lukowski by 1,000.
And thank you so much, Krista says we should organize and take Nat and Guy out for a nice dinner this summer when they'll visit. Believe me, we don't need anything nice or fancy, but thank you so much for the sentiment.
We'll definitely be at the Whistle Stop though. So that's like the one restaurant I have to go to when I'm in Alberta.
Exactly. And going back to YouTube for a bit, Glenn Gunn says he's on Fringe, not sure who. Because I think, again, we missed a bunch of the comments, unfortunately, when the power went out. But
And yesterday I said that we were ending right at 7 because the Fringe was coming on. And sorry,
We forgot it was Thursday.
We forgot it was Thursday. All the days blend together when you're doing 2 shows a day and then a bunch of interviews. And I'll apologize now for next week because we have a ton of interviews, and we actually had somebody invite us on their show for our first interview on somebody else's show. But man, we are booked up, so we're going to be on a tight schedule for the live streams. Each one's going to be exactly an hour and a half. I think almost every day we have an interview before or after each show.
Yes.
So
funnily enough, I'm just getting notifications that we might have a tiny earthquake.
Oh.
We don't have to go out. Don't worry.
Okay.
It's one of those, but it lets me know every time the earth is going to move. My phone does. Todd says there's a lot of earthquakes here in Mexico City.
Well, they have alarms on a lot of the poles, so when there is going to be an earthquake, you got
A big
about
one.
a 2-minute warning of a siren.
Yeah. Todd said, and then we do have to go outside. Here, the protocol is leaving, not staying inside. I know in Canada, it was really weird in Canada when I first moved there. There was an earthquake in Vancouver, and the protocol there is to duck and cover and just
in the
stay
States as
inside.
well.
And here in Mexico, you always go outside. You're trained that way in Mexico City, at least since you're little. And it was funny because when I went out, all the other people that were outside were Mexicans. So we started speaking in Spanish and saying, yeah, earthquake. Yeah, that's why we're outside. We didn't understand why the crazy Canadians were inside.
Let's stick to the YouTube comments, try to get through those. I'm going to have a hard out at 6:58 because the Fringe is coming on. I want to make sure everybody can make their way over.
Okay, I'll go really quickly. Todd says Dallas Brody is a woman.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad people in Alberta are recognizing what a good politician that BC has in Dallas Brody. And she's really fighting an uphill battle there. I think she's fighting a losing battle, but I'm glad she's fighting it with her.
Shorter answers.
Okay.
See how annoying it is when you tap the little table and tell me to shut up. Glenn says Oilers are out. Most money spent. Dumb bums. Calgary has 10 draft picks. Edmonton has a payroll. I do not understand hockey. I'm sorry to admit it, but I went to a few games when I was working in the high schools I worked at. Primorse 007 says Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory was excellent.
Yeah.
Did you watch that?
Jesse Ventura has a lot of conspiracy theories, by the way.
Okay.
Especially the older that he gets. But yeah, he's good overall. Sometimes I disagree with him. Oh, what happened?
Oh, now it is. Oh, a week. If you heard that, that's the actual alarm. It's a weak one.
Oh, it's a weak one. Okay, let's keep going.
Hopefully we can stay inside. Glenn Gunn says, watch Uncharted X, great podcast. So suggestions for you.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it.
Todd says, goofballs, CBC employees. Exactly. Edward says, have you heard of the goat man? He lives in mountains around Kananaskis.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories about Goat Man and the Panther Man and a lot of different animals and different kinds of skinwalkers and stuff like that as well. Over your head.
Sean says, PBS is closing down stations. Will Alberta have its own propaganda network? Hopefully it won't be propaganda. It will be journalism with integrity.
Yeah,
that more people can access and watch.
Absolutely. And they should be leaning into independent media well and making sure they don't censor them. Oh, wow. $20
Thank
super
you
chat.
so much,
Thank you.
JP Alberta First, for the $20 super chat saying, remember to share the live streams and videos for more exposure for Nat and the guy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And that is so kind. Tal, I know, does share them. So thank you so much to Tal as well, and to everybody else that does too. It does help us out.
Well, and
as
you're
well.
consistently helping us get to 1,000 views per stream. We
Yes.
really do appreciate it. Yeah.
It really does help. Todd says, that was a mouthful, guy. Don't blame ya. Yeah, tired too at the end of the week. Can't think anymore about the plan A, plan B.
Yeah.
Troglodyte says, Prince Rupert is a deep water port in northern BC.
Yeah.
That's true.
And that's the thing. You're going to need to negotiate with northern BC and stay the hell away from Vancouver once Alberta gets its independence.
Todd said, almost done. Todd says, have to throw out the Frisbee for my dog Patsy for a day, rest my brain. Yes. Troglodyte says, Prince Rupert is the third deepest port in the world.
Yeah.
And Sean says they would pay money for foreign soldiers.
Well, and British Columbia is really unique by having 2 ports, and that deep water port is the more important port of the 2. Vancouver gets all the publicity because it's in the major city, but it's a shallow water port. We used to live right behind it.
Todd says, yeah, we do have to super chat LOL, which is not me, broke AF. That's okay. Again, we do try to read all the comments anyways.
And we just appreciate everybody watching as well. Yes. But thank you for everybody that does send super chats. It really does help.
Exactly. Todd says, don't keep your mouth shut, please, guy. Oh, please do sometimes. Glenn Gunn says, we need the Alberta soldiers. Yes, not paid. Todd says, you know that commercial too, guy? Lol, you're good.
Yeah.
The $1.99.
$1.99. Are you out of your mind? All of his commercials from the 80s, I know.
Chocolate
And
says,
all the shows. I sing G.I. Joe intro all the time and Transformers intro.
Chocolate says, China, gotta get the hell out. I only know Mexican commercials from, because that's what I grew up with. So it's a different culture even. Justin GP says, Denny's commercial, $1.99. Was it from Denny's?
That's what it was from, yeah.
Okay. Sean says, that means you can't surrender weapons into the gun buyback. In free and independent Alberta, yes.
There's
Sean
going to be
says,
whole new ideas on firearms regulations. There should be no regulations or very few.
Sean says, China is in China. The real China is in Taiwan and has been since 1949.
Yeah.
Glenn Gunn says it's about the registered people that elected Daniel. Around 1 million or so voted. Dara Robinson says, went to the third last letter in the alphabet site to talk to Lukasik and Bantu with his supporters. They're very angry and violent, could not have a civil discussion. So sad many are not not an Albertan.
Go figure.
Of course. Todd said, clip it. No, don't clip it. Todd says, I don't care what the mainstream media says. Not one. Yes.
No, they're going to be painting. Monday's going to be very interesting because they're going to be painting a very specific narrative.
Glenn Gunn says, none of the guys, 650,000, and that's low. If I'm wrong, we did it in the winter. And exactly that too. Sean says, more earthquakes than Los Angeles? I doubt it. Oh, yeah, we do. Mexico City is one of the most, other than Santiago, Chile, is one of the most seismically active in the continent of America.
And because it's built on a lake that's actually sinking, that's drained. Yeah, a lot of earthquakes here. I actually grew up half in Canada. I was born in Canada, but the other half, after my mother died, I grew up with my grandparents near Los Angeles in Long Beach, California. And although it's seismically active, it's nothing compared to Mexico. Nothing, not even close.
And because we're sinking here in the city, we have micro earthquakes as well. So specific townships is what we call them here, will have earthquakes just for that township, which is, it was crazy when I remembered that happened here. Lyle says, I'll buy a Pilsner at the Whistle Stop, and not I'll buy you a ladies drink unless you're a beer drinker. We're both sober, so it's cheaper for you, but thank you so much.
She's been sober for like 10 years.
10 years.
Me for
more than 10 years.
7 or 8, quite a while now.
Yeah, but thank you so much. You can just get us a diet, not diet
pierogies,
Coke, a regular Coke, and get him pierogies because
he said they're not on the menu and they're only seasonal, so hopefully they're there when we go.
Help convince Chris to give him some pierogies. That would really help. But yeah, I was going to say Diet Coke. I don't know why I said Diet Coke. I don't drink Diet Coke because it doesn't agree with me. Premier 007 says he had an actual series called Conspiracy Theory. You should watch them. I'm just going to go really quickly. Sean says, I was a kid when Wayne Gretzky came to Los Angeles from Edmonton. And Edward says, Sasquatch causes the earthquakes from under the earth and the caves he pounds on the ceiling with an old broom.
It's inner earth. I know. I knew it too.
Shut up.
Thank you for letting us know.
Daryl Robinson says, don't forget the pugwudgie. I have no idea what that means.
Keep going. We got to...
Sean says, share it on Blue Sky. Thank you so much for that. We'll love to read the comments.
We're coming to Blue Sky.
I would love to read the comments. Glenn Gunn says,
we're turning Blue Sky red with all the red pills we're dropping.
Glenn Gunn says, good night, you two. Be well. Take care. Thank you. And thank you for being here. Troglodyte says, hit the likes, folks. Don't forget. Yes, thank you so much. Sean says, it was a lake, so sinking is expected. Exactly. Troglodyte says, we had a 3.7 not long ago in BC. Was right across the strait from me. And yeah, there are earthquakes in BC, but not that many. Here, if it's a 5, if it's below a 5, it's considered weak. John Robinson says, 7,000 canvassers get 100. That is 70,000. Yes. And Sean says, BC is like Oregon earthquakes. Todd says, lol, thanks for letting us know.
Okay, we're going to go over to
like Ben Shapiro there for a while. Unfortunately.
I'm glad we got through all the comments. We're going to go over to RUMBLE to finish the stream with 2 stories. For everybody that's going to the Fringe, have a good time over there. And for everybody that's going to follow us to Rumble, we can't wait to see you.
Yes, our username is down there. There's a 30-second wait screen, and we'll see you there in a second.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend if you're going over to the Fringe. Goodbye.
Let's get ready to